Sexual grooming is not about attraction or courtship. It's not even about sex. It's about control. It's a psychological process where someone targets you, earns your trust, breaks down your boundaries, and conditions you to accept sexual behavior that you wouldn't have agreed to otherwise. Groomers don't come in waving red flags. They come in offering comfort, validation, love. And by the time your boundaries are being crossed, your reality has already been rewritten. If this concept of sexual grooming is new to you, I recommend watching my first video called What is Sexual Grooming? But in this video, we're going deeper. Today, I'm walking you through the 7 stages of sexual grooming so you can recognize the signs early, trust your gut, and protect yourself before it goes too far. I'm Callie Sorensen. I have a master's in the psychology of coercive control, and I'm the creator of the online course Become Ungroomable, which helps people name what happened, reclaim their clarity, and stop the cycle for good. Here are the 7 stages of sexual grooming. Stage 1, targeting vulnerability. Groomers don't just choose people randomly. They scan for openings, emotional, social, spiritual. And here's the truth we don't talk about enough. Every single human being has universal needs, not just food, water, and shelter, but emotional and psychological needs. We all want to feel loved, seen, heard. We all need connection, belonging, safety, and meaning to feel fulfilled in life. Groomers are not looking for somebody weak. They're looking for somebody human, which is all of us. Are you feeling lonely in this moment? Are you in transition? Are you grieving? Are you searching for purpose? Maybe you just ended a relationship or you're new to a community, or maybe you just have a big heart. You lead with trust. Groomers can sense that and they move toward it because the goal in this first stage is not sex, it's access. And the fastest way in is through your pain, through your longing, through your unmet needs, which every human has, or through your openness. Stage 2 is gaining trust. Once the groomer identifies an opening, the next step is to build trust, but not just any trust. This is engineered intimacy, manufactured closeness. They mirror your values, they reflect your pain, they make you feel seen, and sometimes more than anybody else ever has. You find yourself thinking, wow, this person, they really get me. No one's ever listened like this before. I can't believe I found this kind of connection. And that's the hook, because it doesn't feel manipulative. It feels like a genuine, deep connection, like fate, like healing. This is the bonding phase, and it's crucial because nothing else works without trust. They become the person that you turn to, the one who understands, the one who seems safe. But what's really happening is emotional positioning. They're setting the stage so that when things shift later, you won't just ignore your gut, you'll doubt it. You'll override your discomfort, not because you don't feel it, but because you trust the person who's crossing your boundaries. That's the trap. Stage 3, fulfilling a role or meeting a need. At this point, it's not just about trust anymore. It's about dependence. The groomer now steps into a role that makes them feel indispensable. It could be a lover, a mentor, a partner, coach, therapist, teacher, spiritual guide, even savior. They become the one person who gets you, who always shows up, who fills a gap or that unmet need that no one else does. Maybe it's emotional safety, validation, or purpose, guidance, or the feeling of being truly loved and cared for. Whatever your unmet need was in stage 1, now they are the answer to it. They are the ones to fulfill it. And that's what makes it so hard to question. Because how do you challenge someone who's been so good to you? How do you see manipulation in someone who made you feel so seen? This role is not accidental, it's strategic, because once someone becomes the only source of something you deeply need, you'll bend over backward not to lose it. And that's when the power dynamic quietly shifts from mutual connection to emotional control. Stage 4, boundary testing. Now that trust is established and a role is in place, the next move is subtle but critical. They start testing your boundaries. It might begin with a joke that has a sexual edge, a hand on your back that lingers just a little too long, a question that feels invasive, but it's framed as concern or curiosity. And when you flinch, pause, or pull back, they watch closely. Do you speak up? Did you laugh it off? Do you override your gut just to keep the peace? If you react, they might backpedal. Relax, I was just kidding. You're reading too much into it. Don't be so sensitive. But if you let it slide, that's a green light. They've just mapped the edge of your comfort zone, and now they know how to keep pushing it. This stage isn't about anything sexual just yet. It's about permission, micro permissions, small moments that test your instinct and teach you to override it. They're not crossing the line outright, they're slowly moving the line and making you believe it was always there. Because once you stop trusting your no, you become easier to control. Stage 5, desensitization and sexualization. This is where things shift. Once your boundaries have been tested, the grooming process moves into desensitization, a slow numbing of your natural discomfort. You might start to notice more sexually charged jokes, suggestive comments about your body, accidental touches that happen more often, compliments about your appearance, your body, or even your sexuality. And maybe it's framed as admiration or flattery. Questions about your sexual history or preferences masked as curiosity. Confessions about their own desires or past sexual experiences, which could subtly invite you to match their level of disclosure. And if you seem uneasy, they'll frame it as closeness. We're just being honest. I love how we're so open with each other. I can tell you anything and you can tell me anything, and we won't judge each other. What's happening here is psychological conditioning. They're introducing sexual content in small, frequent doses until your internal red flag that says this feels wrong response gets quieter. It doesn't happen all at once. It happens through repetition. And over time, what used to shock you now just feels normal. This isn't about mutual desire. It's about emotional manipulation until you no longer feel safe saying no. And that's exactly what they want, a version of you that doubts your discomfort, silences your instincts, and stays quiet, even when something feels off. Stage 6, isolation and secrecy. Now that they've broken down your internal boundaries, the next move is strategic. They isolate you, but it's rarely obvious. They don't lock you in a room or ban your friends. It's more psychological, more emotional. They frame it so it feels like you are the one making that decision to not be as close to them. It starts with phrases like, no one else gets what we have. People would judge this. Let's just keep it between us. I don't want anyone else ruining what we're building. I just love spending every single moment with you. They might even make it sound like they're protecting you. I just don't think your friends really understand you. Your family always makes you feel small. You're so much better and more at peace when you're away from them. It can seem like care, like they're helping you see clearly, but what they're doing is isolating you slowly and carefully. And they don't need to invent stories. They can wait until you vent about somebody and then use that to widen the wedge. You're so right. I told you they weren't good for you. Over time, you stop reaching out, you stop asking for outside feedback, and you stop telling the truth, even to yourself, because now you're in a secret, one that feels like intimacy, but functions like a trap. So even if something feels wrong, you hesitate to share it, because doing so would mean questioning the connection. You might lie to protect them. You might lie to protect yourself. And this is exactly what grooming relies on. Secrecy and silence equals power. Once they've isolated you emotionally, they don't need to force anything. You're already cut off from perspective, from support, from escape. Stage 7, control and maintenance. By now, the grooming process is no longer about gaining access. It's about keeping it. The connection feels deep, maybe even irreplaceable. You've shared things with them that you haven't told anyone. You've pushed past your boundaries, especially the sexual ones. And now walking away doesn't feel like leaving a toxic situation. It feels like losing somebody who knows you, who sees you, who gets you. That's the trap. This is where emotional manipulation locks in. You feel guilt, shame, confusion. So instead of leaving, you rationalize, you minimize, you stay. And they don't always control you with threats. They may use flattery, promises, even spiritual or emotional growth talk to keep you hooked. This is what real love looks like. Not everyone can handle it. You're still healing. This is why it feels so hard. This connection is bigger than both of us. It creates a double bind. If you leave, you betray not just them, but the version of you that trusted them. So you stay, even if it hurts, even if you're shrinking, even if something deep down is screaming, this is not right. And here's what makes this even harder. We don't live in a culture that talks openly and honestly about sex. We're taught to feel shame. We're taught to stay silent, to blame ourselves when something doesn't feel right. So when your boundaries are crossed, instead of speaking up, you second guess yourself. Did I lead them on? Maybe I said yes. Is it even abuse if I didn't say no? And that's how grooming keeps its grip, not with chains, but with silent confusion, not through force, but with emotional dependency. By this point, even if nothing overtly abusive has happened, you feel trapped because control doesn't always look like domination. Sometimes it looks like love that cost you yourself. The first step out of grooming is not confrontation, it's awareness. To recognize these stages, to see the subtle covert manipulation, to see how your boundaries have been pushed, to look at your relationships with new eyes, and to begin to name what really happened. Because when you can name it, you take your power back. You stop blaming yourself for feeling confused. You stop rewriting history to protect somebody else's comfort. And you begin to reclaim your clarity, instincts, and self-trust. I recommend watching my video on the cycle of abuse. It will show you how these dynamics can cycle and repeat, and why just leaving often feels impossible. And if you're ready to break the pattern for good, to recover, to stop falling into relationships where manipulation hides under love, I invite you to join my online course, Become Ungroomable. It's a deep, empowering program to help you build boundaries, spot red flags, and stop abandoning yourself just to stay connected. Or if you want one-on-one support, you can book a free consultation with me below. But wherever you are, your confusion makes sense, your boundaries are valid, your feelings are valid, and healing is possible. And leave a comment if this resonated, ask a question below, or share your story. It might help somebody else realize they're not alone, because they're not, and neither are you.